Welcome back to PERK'S Recap. Back at it once again. We're hitting Phish. We're doing something a little unique today. This is The Man Who Stepped Into Yesterday. This is going to be the entire album. I'm going to split it up into two parts. It's about an hour long, so about 30 minutes each. So get your drink and your snack ready. Get ready to sit back, relax, and we're going to take this all in. There's 14 tracks, but there's 5 tracks are just labeled as narration, so they're not really songs. This is Trey's college thesis from Goddard College. I actually learned about this in the last Phish video I did, and someone now, Jonah, has donated to the channel. He's suggested me do the entire album, so I want to thank him for his generous donation. If you'd like to donate like Jonah, information for Venmo and PayPal is in the description below. It's also at the end of this video. Anyway, enough of that chit-chat. Let's get right to it. Please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and here we go.
Once upon a time, there was a mountain that rose out of a vast green forest. And in the forest, there were birds and lakes and rocks and trees and rivers. The forest was also inhabited by a small group of people called the lizards. The lizards were simple people, and they had lived in the forest undisturbed for thousands of years in utter peace and tranquility. Once a year, when spring came and the first blossoms began to show, the lizards would gather at the base of the mountain to give thanks for all that they had. They thanked the birds, and they thanked the lakes, and they thanked the rocks, and the trees, and the rivers. But most importantly, they thanked Iculus. Iculus lived on top of the mountain, or at least everyone thought so, for no one had actually ever seen him. But they knew he existed, because they had the Helping Friendly Book. Iculus had given the Helping Friendly Book to the lizards thousands of years earlier as a gift. It contained all of the knowledge inherent in the universe, and had enabled the lizards to exist in harmony with nature for years. And so they lived, until one day a traveler arrived in Gamehenge. His name was Wilson, and he quickly became intrigued by the lizards' way of life. He asked if he could stay on and live in the forest, and the lizards, who had never seen an outsider, were happy to oblige. Wilson lived with the lizards for a few years, studying the ways of the Helping Friendly Book, and all was well, until one morning, when they awoke and the book was gone. Wilson explained that he had hidden the book, knowing that the lizards had become dependent on it for survival. He declared himself king and enslaved the innocent people of Gamehenge. He cut down the trees and built a city, which he called Prussia, and in the center of the city he built a castle, and locked in the highest tower of the castle lay the Helping Friendly Book, out of the reach of the lizards forever. But our story begins in a different time, not in Gamehenge, but on a suburban street in Long Island. and our hero is no king sitting in a castle. He is a retired colonel, shaving in his bathroom.
Okay, very, very interesting. I like the story aspect of this. Very cool. Some of the things that he's referencing are later on in the track listing that I see here. He mentioned a retired colonel. There's a track called Colonel Forbin's Ascent. There's another one called Wilson, who we just learned who that is. Another one's called Lizard, the Lizards, the man who stepped in yesterday, obviously. So this will be interesting to follow along the story that he's telling here. Also, the fact that real quick too, the Wilson part at the beginning, I did hear that earlier in another Phish song. I'm not entirely sure which song it was, but I know I've heard that Wilson part before. The Wilson right at the beginning. So obviously they did take some of this that is in here, obviously, and also AC/DC Bag is a Phish song as well, and I already reviewed that actually. They obviously took some of this and made it onto the stage with Phish and onto their albums and stuff. So this is not all just Trey doing his own thing and then Phish, and then he went with Phish and created all new music and didn't go back to this at all. He still references that years later, which is pretty cool. I'm really excited for this now. This storyline is really, really cool. Let's go back 10. Here we go.
Not in Gamehenge, but on a suburban street in Long Island, and our hero is no king sitting in a castle. He is a retired colonel, shaving in his bathroom. Colonel Forbin looked square in the mirror and dragged the blade across his cold creamed skin. He saw the tired little folds of flesh that lay in a heap beneath his eyes. 52 years of obedient self-restraint, of hiding his tension behind a serene veil of composure. For 52 years he had piled it all on the back burner, and for 52 years it had boiled, frothing over in a turbulent storm inside of him. It had escaped through his eyes, reacting with the cigarette smoke and the fluorescent lights, and slowly accumulating into a sagging mass. He ran his dripping palm across the stubble on the nape of his neck and thought again about the door. He had discovered the door some months back on one of his ritualistic morning walks with his dog McGrupp. It had started out as a typical stroll, with McGrupp bounding joyously ahead of the preoccupied colonel. As they reached the apex of a hill, he saw it, and he knew it had always been there, and felt foolish for overlooking the door for so long. At first, he tried to ignore it, but he soon found that it was impossible. And slowly, his newly acquired knowledge transformed his dreary life into a prison from which there was only one escape. And on this morning, Colonel Forbin stepped through the door.
Corridor, I came upon an aging knight who leaned against the wall in gnarly armor. He was on his way to see the king. Wilson, Wilson, Wilson. He led me through the streets of Prussia talking as he tried to crush a bug that scurried underneath his heel. He said there was a place where we should go. So he led me through the forest to the edge of a lagoon by which we wandered till we reached a bubbly spring. The night grew very quiet as we stood there. He lifted up his visor and he turned to me and he began to sing. He said, I come from the land of darkness. I said, I come from the land of doom. He said, I come from the land of demons. I'm from the land of the big baboon. Oh, but I never going back there. And I couldn't if I tried. Because I come from the land of lizards. And the lizards, they have died. race of people practically extinct from doing things smart people don't do. He said he was once a lizard too.
We'll go back 10 again. I'm normally not into lyrics that much. I usually don't really pay too much attention to them all that often. Sometimes I do, obviously. Or if I listen to a song enough, I'll learn the lyrics just kind of naturally. But this is very story-driven. This entire thing is story-driven. This looks like it's going to be an hour-long narration, an hour-long piece, all based on the same thing. So I'm enjoying that aspect. You can tell this is an older recording. There's some interference in the background, kind of like a low hiss, which is fine, no problem there. But I'm enjoying it. Hopefully you are too. I really am liking the story. I'm wondering if the other members of Phish are on this, or who's on this with him, if there's any credits, because this was never officially released. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that information. I'll try before I do the close, but I'm not sure if I'm going to get the information in terms of who is actually playing on this, if it's all Trey and he does everything, or if he's got other people with him. And if they are they members of Phish? Let's go back 10.
His name was Rutherford the Brave, and he was on a quest to save the people from the fate that lay before them. Their clumsy end was perilously near. The lizards would be saved, he said, if they could be enlightened by the writings of the helping friendly book. In all of Prussia, only one existed, and Wilson had declared that any person who possessed him was a crook. He said, I come from the land of darkness. I said, I come from the land of doom. He said, I come from the land of demons, from the land of the big baboon. Oh, but I never remember going back there, and I couldn't if I tried, because I come from the land of lizards, and the lizards, they have died, and the lizards, they have died, and the lizards, they have died, and the lizards, they have died. The helping, friendly book, it seemed, possessed the ancient secrets of eternal joy and never-ending splendor. The trick was to surrender to the flow. We walked along beneath the moon. He led us through the bush till soon we saw before our eyes a raging river. He said we can swim it if we try. And saying this, the knight dove in, forgetting that his suit of arms would surely weigh him down, and so he sunk. And as his body disappeared before me, I bowed my head in silence and remembered all the thoughts that he had thought. He said, I come from the land of darkness. I said, I come from the land of doom. He said, I come from the land of demons, or from the land of the big baboon. But I never remember going back there, and I couldn't if I tried, because I come from the land of lizards, and the lizards, they have, oh, 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 go, 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 go. Go, 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 go.
I don't know if it's Page or not on the keys, but whoever's playing the keys musically, that's what's standing out the most to me out of everything in the song so far. Obviously, I'm into the story and that aspect of it, but musically, the thing that's standing out the most is the keys. Whoever's on keys is really, really talented, really, really good. Maybe it's Page. I don't know. Again, I don't know the lineup of who's playing right now. I want to mention that. Let's go back 10 again. Here we go.
But Rutherford and Forbin weren't alone. And suddenly, an unexpected movement caught his eye. On the far side of the river, he saw a shaggy creature standing in the weeds, who stared across at Forbin with an unrelenting gaze. A gigantic mass of muscles and claws. The hideous beast reared back and hurled himself in the water and swam toward the region where Rutherford lay. And in a flash, the beast was gone. Underneath the surface to the frosty depths below, while Forbin, bewildered, waited alone. The seconds dragging by him seemed like hours, till finally the Colonel felt it all had been a dream. Defeated, he bowed his head and turned to go. Suddenly, with a roar, the creature emerged before him and held the brave knight's body to the sky. And the creature laid the knight upon the shore, and the colonel fell beside his friend in prayer that he'd survive. And Rutherford, brave Rutherford, was alive. Forbin and the unit monster were crouched over the soggy knight, carefully removing his bulky helmet, when the colonel heard a sound behind him. He turned around and came face to face with an enormous, shaggy, horse-like creature, covered from head to tail with alternating blotches of brown and white. It was a two-toned multi-beast, and atop the multi-beast sat the most beautiful woman the colonel had ever seen. After 52 years of undaunted bachelorhood, the colonel felt a feeling rush over him that he had never felt before.
The sky is burning in this lonely land, and I kneel by the river, and I feel the sand and the wind from beyond the mountain. Wind from beyond the mountain.
tell you, there's times where this sounds a lot like Phish that I'm used to. There's other times where it doesn't, where it sounds a little bit, I don't want to say dated, but it sounds like it's from the 80s, But I gotta say, this part right here, this is some chill out music. I would think that the way to enjoy this album, excuse me, the way to enjoy this album the best would probably be just close your eyes, keep them closed the entire hour, put the headphones on, and just kind of get engulfed with the whole storyline aspect, get engulfed with how the music is playing. Just enjoy it in that way. That's probably the best way. Maybe have a little bit of maybe some cannabis products at the same time might be helpful in that aspect as well. But anyway, I'm still enjoying it regardless. Still enjoying the storyline, and the keys are still standing out. And yeah, it looks like we're on track 4, which is the woman's name I believe that he's talking about is Tela or Tella, Tela. That's what I believe we're on right now. And we're actually coming up. This is kind of flying by. We're coming up on not the end, but we're about 2/3 through. Here we go. Okay. Okay.
Tela, true love Wilson's foul domain. Tela, true love Wilson's foul domain. A lullaby the breezes whisper.
Oh. That's cool.
And I look into her eyes, and my frozen heart begins to thaw. And burn till layer after layer melts away into a pool. A sky
Okay.
Tila grew strong from her struggle to endure. In the shadow of Wilson's castle, time touched her wounds and shelter proved the cure. In the shadow of Wilson's castle, each passing day seemed to feed the brazen serpent locked inside and liberate the spirit she'd concealed for so long. There was no place left to hide. Tila, Tila, jewel of Wilson's foul domain. Tila, Tila, jewel of Wilson's foul domain. A lullaby, the breezes whisper.
Tila reached out her hand and helped Forbin onto the back of the multi-beast. And together they rode off into the forest.
Bass here. And
As they rode, Tila explained to him about Wilson and the Helping Friendly book. She told the colonel that she was part of a revolution to overthrow the evil king. The leader of the revolution was a lizard named Errand Wolf, who was out to avenge the death of his son Roger. Roger, she said, had been executed by Wilson at the age of 14 on suspicion of treason. He had been abducted from his home and hung in the public square. The two rode on in silence.
okay, I'm going to stop it there. What I'll do is I'll go back a couple seconds or maybe 10 or 20 seconds before I resume and do the next one. But that's going to do it for this part one. I'm going to come back right here, though, with a close, and then I'm going to go right to the second part. There you have it. That's part one of The Man Who Stepped Into Yesterday. I'm going to jump right into part two. I'm going to release them at the same time. I'll also put them in a playlist together. So be quick references and quick listens for you guys to get right from one to the other. It looks like we're actually not quite halfway through. I stopped it probably a little bit too early. I probably should have waited with like one or two more tracks. that's okay. The second part might be just a little bit longer than this one. But either way, I'm still enjoying it quite a bit. I'm enjoying the storyline for sure. And I want to see where he takes this. And I did find out that it is the rest of Phish is with him on this. According to Wikipedia, the personnel here is Trey, Paige, Mike, and John. So I'm assuming this is them. So that was Paige on the keys. That was really, really impressing me before when I was wondering if it was him or not. And apparently it is, according to Wikipedia. Also, this is also called, I gotta make sure I get the name right here, Gamehenge. This is like another name for this. It's called Gamehenge, and he actually references Gamehenge a couple times in the narration. So I think that's actually like supposedly the actual world that they live on or whatever. I think that's what Gamehenge is. But either way, pretty cool. I'm enjoying it. Hopefully you are too. I'm going to jump right into part 2, and until next time, I will see you later.